So we're going to disassemble this just to show you how it's done. If you're familiar with a 1911 or any of those, this is going to look pretty similar to you. It's pretty straightforward. Once again, it's comm block stuff, so it's not made to be complicated. The first thing we do, drop our magazine. There's your magazine release. Okay, when I'm working the slide, just to make it a little easier, pull the hammer back, makes it easier to move the slide. Okay, make sure you use your slide lock, check your mouth, we're empty. Okay, let our slide go back. So the next thing you need to do is there's a small clip here on the right side of the gun that holds in this lock. So we're going to pull that back until it hits this one, and then you may have to do this, especially on the new ones. You're going to have to give them a little pressure. On the old ones, probably not. Hook your thumb through the trigger guard, put the end of your finger right here, just give a little pressure. See that slide move just a little bit, and then push right there, and you can see it falls right out. Now, there goes your top piece right there. Okay, so now we're going to disassemble the frame. There's your firing group, bam, right out. There's your hammer and everything. It's all one little unit, and there's no reason to take it apart any further. So then, in order to break the frame down, you have to take off your side panels. Now on your left panel, if you look down in there, you'll see a small little fork. What it is it's a T shape, and it needs to be rotated so it lets go of the frame. So we just take a little screwdriver, push down in there, pull it back to ourselves, off that comes, out comes your aftermarket safety. Okay, and then you can see in here, we've got another little bar that needs to be twisted. So I like to just take my pliers, put them in those two little holes, twist it slightly, off it comes. So there's your grip panels off. Now the next thing that needs to come out is your trigger and your trigger spring. So what you do is you reach down in here and you push the trigger spring, and you can see the trigger starts to slide out, and we just do that and walk it right out. It's not the stiffest spring in the world, so this is pretty easy. There's your trigger. There's your trigger spring. Of course it'll get stuck. There we go. Now this is your magazine interrupter. You can see if you look right down in there. That is what keeps it from firing if there's no magazine in the firearm. It can be taken out. I don't see any reason to. So there it is. But we leave that right there. Okay, so that's completely disassembled. We'll set that to the side. Now, here we go. We have to take off our barrel, our spring, etc. So in order to do that, you can see the spring sets right in here against this block. Just pick on it, pull it right out. It's a hinged and captive spring, so you don't have to worry about it throwing itself anywhere. And just pull it right out, and there it is. Set that to the side. Your barrel lug, turn it 180 degrees, pulls right out. There we go. Your barrel, you just kind of got to shake it out. Now, what I do sometimes, they're locking lugs obviously into the slide, so I'll just put a little pressure back here with my thumb, take the tip of my finger, pick it up, and it falls right out. Now you'll see how it got stuck because I need to take this little loop and just push it down. Out it comes. That's completely disassembled. It's all taken apart. Now you can take any of the parts that are dirty and clean them, especially if you're going to use that corrosive ammo. Soap and water, then clean it like a normal firearm. If you don't, you will have problems. So let's go ahead and put it back together, and the firearm will be functional. So we put our barrel back in till the lugs lock in. Okay, we take this here, put it in, twist it, stand that up, take our spring, push it in. Now you can't screw this up because you've got one side that's cut to fit against the barrel and one side that's not. So it's kind of hard to put in upside down. Push that in all the way, push it down against, it should lock right in there, and there it is, right against the barrel. That's ready to go back together. Okay, we take our frame. First thing we do is we put our hammer spring back in. Pardon me, our trigger spring back in. Okay. See, there's a small bar right there. It's hard to see. And there's a fold on the end of the spring. Just kind of sits in there. Push it back together. Take your trigger. Slide it up in until it's against that trigger spring. And then you just kind of walk it up in there. Boop. There it is, right together. Okay? There we are. Now the next thing we have to do is put in this super special aftermarket safety. Now this is what will give you some issues, okay? You can see that it has to go into that hole on the other side of the frame. Okay, make sure it's down here. and make sure it flattens out, because if it's at any kind of an angle and you will feel some spring give, it's going to make your life more difficult. Okay, so we take this, make sure your star is up, put it in. Once again, we take our pliers, we just give it a twist. Okay, that grip panel is on. Now this is where, like I said, with that safety, you got to make sure it's pushed down when you put this one in. There's that T shape I was talking about. It goes down. Okay, and we make sure we're in, and you've got to make sure that safety is flat or it won't close. So there we go. Now we take our screwdriver, we push it right down in there, in that little part of the T, and we just push it forward. That's now locked in. Okay, put our hammer back in, push it back in. You can see there's a small notch, so you can't really screw that up. Okay, then we take our slide, meet it right up, slide it back. Okay, and there, make sure that little hole is empty. Just give it a little pressure. Push it in from this side and shake it, and there it goes in. We take this clip, push it back here, lock it up, cycle the gun, make sure everything works, put our magazine back in, and we're done.